The Seattle Seahawks are a resilient football team. They're able to beat out the New England Patriots in their stadium. They move to 2-0 and they win this football game 23-20. There are a lot of things to like from this football game. There's a lot of things to improve on in this football game with the season ahead. But to start out the season, 2-0 was a great start in the Mike Macdonald era. It is definitely something that you can celebrate because back-to-back weeks, you've had your team ready, and in back-to-back weeks, you have won. It hasn't been the most prettiest of wins, but at the end of the day, a win is a win. Is it going to be completely sustainable throughout the season? By no means, but you have to celebrate a lot of the wins. The things that I'm celebrating today is the resiliency of the Seahawks as a whole entire team, but specifically Geno Smith. Geno Smith did not allow the pressure to get to him in this football game. Rather, he lived up to the moment like he's shown time and time again. You got to stop doubting this man. This man is a great quarterback. I think he has been underrated in a lot of ways. I think a lot of fans they take him for granted in many ways. But he played a really good game. He was not helped out by his receivers. There's a stat of 5 drop passes. So where I think this game kind of got out of control for Seattle and really could have been a far easier win that didn't have to go to overtime was their ability to hold on to the ball. And they really struggled in their run game today. Zach Charbonnet, I think, is an amazing runner. I think he's a great running back. The area of issue, though, is if you're not building holes for your running back to get through, then you can't potentially get many yards. A lot of a running back's ability to be great is dependent upon how well does the offensive line open up windows for that running back to get through. So there's areas for the Seahawks to improve on. But like I said, when you look at the end of the day that you're up as a team 2-0 to start your season, it helps at least in the middle of where you need to grow and improve. You're still winning football games. And they're going to have a tough matchup against Miami. Yes, Tua may not be playing. Prayers go out to him. I hope that he's going to be okay. When you look at this next game, they still have a lot of weapons. And where Seattle, I think, struggled in this football game the most, specifically on defense, is they had a lot of issue with the underneath pass. Hunter Henry was phenomenal today. Hopefully you had him in your fantasy team. He was able to get open, to get space. It was one of those things that was pretty normal for prior years as a Seahawks fan. We saw a lot of tight ends have career days when they played Seattle over the middle. Now, I don't know how much that's a complete credit to the linebackers or just it was a really good credit to the New England's offense being able to take guys away from certain spots and just opening things up. And I think that is a lot of what it was, is they were able to just open up passing lanes based on the type of routes they were running. I got to give credit to where credit is due. I think Jacoby Brissett, he played a pretty clean game for the most part. I think he did the best with what he had, and it was a dogfight. It was a fun fight to watch. It was one that was back and forth and had a lot of intensity. And the Patriots don't look like a team that is by any means just going to treat this season like we're going to be awful. Like, they are competing. They have some guys on that squad that have stepped up today. And as much as there was errors on Seattle's end, you got to give credit where credit's due. Patriots beat a good Bengals team last week. And I say good in the sense that, I mean, they almost beat the Chiefs today. So they've obviously are a good enough team that it was shocking to me that the Patriots beat the Bengals. So I wasn't looking at this matchup as, oh, this is going to be an easy matchup, because it's still a team that has resiliency just like the Seahawks, and they almost pulled this one out. And they had a lot of areas where it went well for them. The Patriots overall, they were able to get the passing game going, the running game. I mean, when you look at just kind of the stats of this game, in a lot of ways, you would have been kind of convinced the Patriots would have won this game. They did a lot of things, maybe potentially better than Seattle, but who scored enough points at the end of the day? And I think the Patriots maybe missed on some of the miscues of Seattle. One of the biggest things that was hard to watch was there was a moment in the fourth quarter when the Patriots had the ball and Brissett handed the ball off to Gibson, and he was dead in the water. He was going to go to a 3rd and 15 potentially. Boy Mafe attempted to make a tackle, and it was just not the best effort. Gibson ends up running about, I would say, probably a 30-yard run. It was a phenomenal run. Give credit to where credit is due. But if Boy Mafe makes that tackle I think we're looking at this game a lot differently. I don't know if you get to overtime without that play. I don't know if rather the momentum shifts to Seattle's side. Realistically, I think there's a lot of things where there's growing pains happening with this team, this new regime with Mike Macdonald. There's a lot of growing pains. There's a lot of things that still need to improve, but you are, at least what I think you are seeing a more improved effort all around. I think guys are more bought in. I think guys are working on their craft, getting better. I think Devin Witherspoon was obviously surprised by 2 penalties he had today, but I don't think he had one after that one specific drive. And so they played a cleaner game as the game went along. They're finding ways to get better, and I think they're only going to get better. I really believe we haven't seen Seattle reach their full potential yet, and it was really awesome, though, seeing them utilize more players on offense, specifically with Najigba. I think it was fun to watch him finally get some opportunities. I believe he had 11 receptions on the day. DK Metcalf had 11 receptions on the day. They were spreading that rock around, and Geno Smith was throwing some dimes. He threw some really amazing passes. As I mentioned earlier, they struggled with dropping some passes. They struggled to move the ball with running. And those 2 elements were huge, yet they still won the football game. That's where you got to be celebrating as a Seahawks fan, is they are winning games, even in the midst where it's not their best foot forward. That shows to the testament of who they are as a team. Am I saying they're a Super Bowl team? I'm not saying that. What I am saying, though, is that they are continually improving, I think, week in and week out. You can celebrate this win. You feel good. You feel like they had control of the game for the most part. It wasn't completely out of reach. I know when Geno came back out for that final drive in the fourth quarter to tie the game, and then he came back out after the defense got a stop and ended up taking down for a field goal. Those are moments that we're seeing with Geno Smith, where he is a composed quarterback, able to be clutch in those moments. And I think as Geno goes along in this season, his price tag for re-signing him is only going to get higher and higher, because I think he's going to show people, and he is continually showing people, why he is a great quarterback. I think he is a great quarterback. You may disagree with me, and that's totally fine. I think the main issue people might have is how he handles pressure, but I just gotta be real with you, man. If I had some football player that was 6'3" coming at me, 290 pounds, I'm going to be a little bit scared as well. And I think he's growing as a pocket passer. I think he's growing with using his legs. We saw last week when he played the Broncos, the way he was able to run for that rushing touchdown. So, like I said, it wasn't the most cleanest win today against the Patriots. There's a lot of areas to improve and to grow on and to develop, but you have to be excited when you get victories in the NFL. A victory is a very hard thing to do, but to do it back-to-back weeks and in games where it wasn't, I don't think it's the best yet. I still think they are so new with their regime. They're so new with what they're trying to put out. I think it's going to be really fun watching football to come in the years to come. But I think this is also going to be a fun year of seeing, what does Seattle have? What pillars and key pieces will we build upon when it comes to the D-line, when it comes to the O-line? And I think an area where I really believe that this team, Seattle, would have probably blown out the Patriots if they were able to capitalize on wrapping up on some of their sacks. They had numerous moments where Brissett was under duress, under pressure, and they just could not wrap him up. If they correct those things, if they help fix some of these issues, those drives end a lot earlier, they don't get chances to convert third downs. Brissett had, I think, a really good game. Glad he came out of this game injury-free, because there's a moment where he got tackled, and it was just a bad tackle. He's probably in pain, but I'm very thankful that he's out of this game with no injuries, because it's the worst to see injuries. It's good to know that players were healthy in this one, and it's really was a fun, clean game, despite the Patriots wanting to show at every moment their win against the Seahawks. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for tuning in to just kind of my analysis and opinions on the game. I think overall, we saw a game where they were resilient, where they won, and they were effective, and that's the most important part. They were effective getting the dub. At the end of the day in the NFL, it's hard to win, but when you win, isn't it just sweet? Isn't it just sweet to be up 2-0? We'll see how Seahawks do next week when they face off against the Miami Dolphins at the Clink.